After the martyrdom of Khubaib and Zayd, Khalid bin Waleed had a grudge against Abu Sufyan and his wife Hind. Khalid said to himself, "This does not suit the warriors." One day, he was sitting in the gathering of those leaders who were against the killing of the two companions of the Prophet. Khalid bin Waleed asked them, "Do you all know that these were not the only two who were killed, but 6 Muslims?" One replied, "This is the work of Sharjah bin Mughais. He had deceived those 6 Muslims." Khalid bin Waleed said, "And the minds of the Jews of Mecca are working behind this." And in this the Jews of Juhawa took 2 or 3 other Jewish girls and cast a spell on their beauty. Juhawa is a magician. One leader said she can have her brother killed by her brother. Isn't it a threat that the Jews will also make us enemies of each other? Another leader said no. An old leader said, "They are as much enemies of Muhammad as we are. The interest of the Jews is that they make the enmity between us and the Muslims so strong that we erase the name and sign of the Muslims." A leader said, "We should not doubt the Jews, rather it is necessary that we use the Jews under the ground against the Muslims." Khalid bin Waleed said, "But not as Sharjah did, and not as Abu Sufyan and his wife did." The old leader asked, "Do you know that Juhawa has gone to Medina with a few Jews from Mecca?" Then he himself replied, "They will raise the Jews and other tribes around Medina against the Muslims. They themselves feel threatened by the spread of Islam." If the belief of Muhammad continues to spread, and the passion of the followers of Muhammad remains the same in the battlefield, which we have seen, then the sun of the God of the Jews will set. Khalid bin Waleed said, "But the Jews are not a fighting nation. They cannot support us in the battlefield." Another leader said they will prove to be more likely in the battlefield for the Muslims. They will not leave the Muslim leaders and comrades unable to enter the battlefield through their beautiful daughters like Juhawa. Khalid bin Waleed was not able to forget the character of Juhawa. And he was hearing 4-year-old stories. He was going towards Medina and the mountain of Uhud was rising above him. Then that mountain began to move away from his eyes. His horse was descending the valley. It was about 1 mile long and about 1.5 miles wide. In it, somewhere there were rusty bricks. They were made of sandy soil. Khalid heard the sound of running steps. He glanced over there and his hands went to the hand of the sword. There were 4 or 5 ghazals who were running down from him. Going a little further, one ghazal bumped into the side of the other ghazal. Then the 2 ghazals came face to face and their heads began to collide. The other ghazal stopped to look at them. Khalid bin Waleed kept looking at them. Such beautiful animals do not look good fighting with each other. A funny ghazal saw Khalid bin Waleed's horse. He hit his neck on the ground. The fighting ghazals were silent, and then all the ghazals ran to one side, and Khalid bin Waleed's eyes were dazzled. The leaders of Quraysh were divided into 2 groups. They did not have enmity with each other, but love and unity was not the first thing. Khalid bin Waleed remembered that everyone accepted Abu Sufyan's leadership and salary, but there was a tension. When there was a need for unity, the Quraysh were on the path of hypocrisy. Khalid found this situation to be unbearable. One day Khalid bin Waleed said to Abu Sufyan, "Don't you know that mutual hypocrisy strengthens the enemy? Have you ever thought how this hypocrisy can be changed in an alliance?" Abu Sufyan said in a confused tone, "I have thought a lot, Khalid, I have thought a lot. Everyone meets me as before, but I feel that the king's heart is not clean. Can you create a situation to remove the dirt from the hearts?" Khalid bin Waleed said, "Yes, I have thought of a situation. I am bringing this suggestion to you. The leaders who have dirt in their hearts, they have now begun to understand that we are left without a name. And we have instilled the fear of Muslims in our hearts. Sharjah deceived 6 Muslims, and got 2 of them killed by you and changed our appearance. The solution to this is that we attack Medina or challenge the Muslims somewhere, and prove that we are warriors, and we will kill the Muslims." Abu Sufyan said, "We have Jawaz. I challenged Muhammad in the Battle of Uhud and said, 'You defeated us in Badr. We took revenge on the mountain of Uhud.' I also said to Muhammad that the fire of revenge is burning in the hearts of the Quraysh. We will challenge you at the place of Badr next year." Khalid bin Waleed said, "Yes, I remember." From there, the voice of Umar bin al-Khattab came. He said that if Allah wills, our next meeting will be in the field of Badr. Abu Sufyan said, the voice was of Umar but the words were of Muhammad. Muhammad was very wounded, he could not speak in a loud voice. I send him a message that one day come to the field of Badr and reach your end. Both decided one day to send a Jew to Medina. The next day, Abu Sufyan called all the leaders of the Quraysh to his house and announced with great enthusiasm that he was challenging the Muslims in the field of Badr. The Quraysh were waiting to hear this news. They had to avenge the blood of their loved ones. Their hearts were filled with the hatred of the Prophet, which was like a bomb waiting for a spark. He used to say that Muhammad has turned father and son and brothers into enemies of each other. This announcement of Abu Sufyan cleared everyone's hearts and they started talking about war preparations. A wise Jew was sent a message that he should go to Medina and send the Prophet. Khalid bin Waleed remembered how satisfied and happy he was that day. The hatred in the hearts of the leaders of the Quraysh was cleared. Khalid bin Waleed was not a big man, but he had prepared that the Prophet would kill the Prophet with his own hands. The Jew came with a sincere answer. The Prophet had accepted Abu Sufyan's challenge. The day of the battle was March 626. But in the winter season, the amount of rain was much less. As a result, the weather was almost dry. In the month of March, the heat was as high as it was 2 or 3 months later. Abu Sufyan did not consider that season a topic for battle. This memory made Khalid bin Waleed ashamed. The reason was that Abu Sufyan was making an excuse for the heat of the season. The famous historian Ibn Sa'ad writes that Abu Sufyan called the leaders of the Quraysh and said that he wanted to scare the Muslims before the battle. He received the services of the Jews and sent them to Medina in the guise of merchants. Abu Sufyan asked them to spread rumors in Medina that the Quraysh were coming to the battlefield in such large numbers that the Muslims had never seen before. According to that historian, this rumor was true in Medina, and its effects were also seen on the faces of the Muslims. When this rumor reached the Prophet, and it was also reported that the effects of fear and harassment had been seen on some Muslims, the Prophet came out and gathered the people and announced, "Are the people of Allah only afraid to hear that the number of the Quraysh will increase? Are those who fear Allah today afraid of the priests of idols? If you are so afraid of the Quraysh that you have turned your back on their challenge, then I swear by the Almighty God who has entrusted me with the responsibility of the Prophet, I will go alone to the battlefield of Badr." The Prophet wanted to say something else, but the martyrs of the Prophet shook the sky with slogans. I could not find a clue as to who had spread the rumors, but on the call of the Prophet, the effects of the rumors spread by the Quraysh disappeared and the Muslims were busy preparing for war. There were only a few days left. At the time of the march, the number of Muslims was 1,500. There were only 50 horsemen in them. The Jews who were sent to Medina to spread the rumors, they came back and said that the rumors had done all the work before. But one day the Prophet gathered the Muslims and said a few words. Then the Muslims were ready to march to Badr. Their number had reached 1,500 in Medina. We think that the number will not be less or more than this. Today, while going to Medina, the memory of that incident embarrassed Khalid bin Waleed, that he felt at that time that Abu Sufyan was hesitating to go in front of the Muslims for some reason. When Khalid bin Waleed found out about the number of Muslims, he went to Abu Sufyan. Khalid bin Waleed said to him, "Abu Sufyan, it is our duty to obey the chief. I do not want to establish a tradition of disobeying the chief in the people of the Quraysh. But I also care about the greatness of the Quraysh. You should try to change your attitude." What if the greatness of the Quraysh tribe is felt so much in me that I do not pay attention to your order and attitude? Abu Sufyan asked, "Did you not hear why I sent the Jews to Medina? I wanted to scare the Muslims," Khalid bin Waleed said before completing, "Abu Sufyan, the fighters do not fear. Did you not see the Muslims fighting in small numbers? Did you not hear Khubaib and Zaid standing in front of the people of the Quraysh and shouting slogans? I have only come to tell you to respect your leadership and prepare for the Battle of Badr." The next day, the news reached Makkah that the Muslims had moved from Medina to Badr. Now there was no other way for Abu Sufyan except that he gave the order to move. The number of the Quraysh who were ready to move to Badr was 2,100 horsemen were other than him. The leadership was of Abu Sufyan, and under him Khalid, Ikrimah and Safwan Naib Salar. As usual, Abu Sufyan's wife Hind and a few of his servants and women who played songs were also with him. The Muslims reached the battlefield of Badr on April 4, 626 in the leadership of the Holy Prophet. The Quraysh had just reached Asfan. They stayed there overnight. Early in the morning, Abu Sufyan gathered his army instead of giving the order to move. The Quraysh's brave Muslims fear your name. Now our war with them will be decisive. We will wipe out a handful of Muslims. Neither will Muhammad live in this world, nor will anyone take his name. But we are going to fight in such circumstances that can go against us and can cause our defeat. You see that we could not bring all the grain with us. There is no hope of getting more grain, because drought has created a situation of captivity. Then look at this heat. I do not want to kill my brave men hungry and thirsty. I will wait for the right conditions for the decisive war. We will not go ahead by trampling over Mecca. Khalid bin Waleed remembered that the army of the Quraysh raised two slogans. One was their slogans that in these conditions they were determined to fight against the Muslims. The other slogans were in support of Abu Sufyan's decision, but everyone had to obey the order. Khalid, Ikrimah and Safwan refused to obey Abu Sufyan's order, but Abu Sufyan was not affected by their protest. Those three deputies also evaluated how many people lived with them. This assessment proved against them. The majority of the army went to Mecca on the orders of Abu Sufyan. Khalid and his other companions had to follow the army. Khalid remembered that moment when he was going to Mecca with Ikrimah and Safwan behind the army of the Quraysh. His head was bowed. These three were not even looking at each other, as if they were ashamed of each other. Khalid repeatedly thought that if one of his legs and arms were cut in the fight, if both his eyes were lost, he would not be sad that he was going back without fighting. At that time he was feeling as if he was dead and his body was going back to Mecca on a horse. The killing of the Prophet was his determination and pledge that he was coming back without completing. This determination was biting him like a scorpion. He was remembering a lot. There was a chain of memories that was not ending. He remembered the three tribes of the Jews, Banu Nuzair, Banu Qurayza and Banu Qaynqa. When he saw that the Quraysh had turned away from fighting against the Muslims, he became enraged. The Jews began groundbreaking operations against the Muslims. They went to Mecca and incited the Quraysh against the Muslims. But the leader of the Quraysh, Abu Sufyan, was not satisfied. Khalid could not know what was in the heart of Abu Sufyan and why he was afraid to fight the Muslims. In the early season of the same year, a few prominent Jews of Khyber went to Mecca. Their leader was Huyai bin Akhtab. He was also the leader of the Banu Nuzair tribe of the Jews. The Jews had treasures of precious stones. He took some precious gifts for a few Jewish Abu Sufyan and other leaders of the Quraysh. He also had a group of beautiful girls with him. In Mecca, he met the Jewish Abu Sufyan. He gave him gifts and showed him his group's dance at night. After that, Huyai bin Akhtab told Abu Sufyan about Khalid, Ikrimah and Safwan's presence. He said that if he did not kill the Muslims and did not stop them from advancing, they would reach Yamama. If he succeeded in this, the trade route for the Quraysh would be closed forever, which goes to Bahrain and Iraq. Huyai bin Akhtab said, "This road for the Quraysh has the status of a city. If you are with us, we will start secret operations against the Muslims." Abu Sufyan said, "We were twice as many as the Muslims, but we could not defeat them. Even if we fought them 3 times, we could not defeat them. If a few more tribes join us, we can kill the Muslims forever." Huyai bin Akhtab said, "We have already made this arrangement. The tribe of Ghatfan and the tribe of Banu Asad will be with you. A few more tribes will come with you with our efforts." Khalid bin Waleed could not remember anything. He remembered the events of 3 or 4 years ago as if it were a day before. He remembered Abu Sufyan's nervous face very well. Khalid knew that the Jews were inciting the people of the Quraysh against the Muslims. because their religion was in danger against Islam. But he showed Abu Sufyan a picture in which he could see destruction in the hands of the Muslims. On the other hand, Khalid, Ikrimah, and Safwan bin Umayyah did not leave Abu Sufyan to raise his head. They said to Abu Sufyan, "We accept you as our leader, but you must admit that you are a coward." If the Muslims had come to fight in the bad weather and drought, we could have fought. You lied to us. Abu Sufyan is a coward. Abu Sufyan has made the whole tribe a coward. Now the disciples of the Prophet Muhammad will jump on our heads. And such loud and angry voices kept echoing in the streets of Mecca. The minds of the Jews were also working behind these voices, but the honor of the people of the Quraysh, and their desire for revenge, did not allow them to sit in peace. Abu Sufyan reached such a state that he stopped going out. Khalid remembered the day when Abu Sufyan called him to his house. Khalid bin Waleed did not have the respect of Abu Sufyan in his heart that he used to have. He went to Battle of Badr only because Abu Sufyan was the leader of his tribe. When he went to Abu Sufyan's house, Ikrimah and Safwan were also sitting there. Abu Sufyan said, "Khalid, I have decided to attack Medina." Khalid bin Waleed felt as if he had heard wrong. He looked at Ikrimah and Safwan. There was a smile on their lips. Abu Sufyan said, "Yes, Khalid, get people ready to attack Medina as soon as possible." The message was sent to all the tribes that the Jews had prepared to support the Quraysh. It was the beginning of February 627. The fighters of different tribes began to gather in the hands of Mecca. The largest army of these tribes was of Ghatfan. It had a population of 3,000. Banu Salim sent 700 men. Banu Asad also sent a special army, led by Huyai bin Waleed. The Quraysh had a total of 4,000 infantry, 300 horsemen, and 1,500 horsemen. The total number of the army that was going to Medina for the army was 10,000. His command was in the hands of Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan had called that united army Jamiatul Qabail. Some of them had not come to Mecca. He had informed that when the army left Mecca, they would leave their settlements and meet the army on the way. Khalid bin Waleed remembered that time when he left Mecca. The third part of the army was in his command. He saw the whole army from there. He could not see the two heads of the army. The voice of the army, which sounded the same, was warming Khalid's blood. He said to himself, "Muslims will be left to rot. The pieces of Islam will be buried in the sand of Arabia forever." This was his determination. So friends, this was our today's episode. We hope you liked our episode. Before leaving, don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video. And if you are new to our channel, then subscribe to it and click on the bell icon so that you can get all the videos immediately. Take care of yourself until the next video. Allah Hafiz.